Have you ever felt that burning urge to confront someone who disrespected you, only to realize later that your silence spoke volumes more than any words could? What if the most devastating response isn't what you say, but what you suddenly stop giving? Imagine the profound impact when someone who took your presence for granted suddenly finds themselves facing nothing but the echo of their own actions. When someone disrespects you, the immediate impulse to confront them can feel overwhelming. Your heart races, your mind floods with perfect comebacks, and you desperately want to make them understand how deeply their actions hurt you. Perhaps you even fantasize about teaching them a lesson they'll never forget. But what if the most powerful move isn't found in what you say, but rather in what you deliberately take away? This is where silence transforms into your greatest weapon. When you strategically withdraw access to your time, energy, and presence, you communicate a message that resonates far deeper than any verbal confrontation ever could. The beauty of this approach lies in its quiet dignity. You don't need to raise your voice to make an impact that lasts. People who disrespect you often do so because they operate under a dangerous assumption. They believe you'll always be there. They've grown comfortable taking your availability for granted, convinced that your kindness, patience, or attachment will keep you orbiting in their universe regardless of how they treat you. They've mistaken your generosity for weakness, your forgiveness for permission. But everything changes when you stop answering their calls, when you cease replying to their messages, when you no longer appear in the spaces they've grown accustomed to seeing you. This absence creates a silence they weren't prepared for, a void where your predictable presence used to be. Suddenly, they find themselves talking to an echo, desperately trying to decipher what went wrong. It's within this confusion that the seeds of regret begin to take root. There's a unique kind of discomfort that comes from being shut out without explanation. A special type of psychological tension that forces a person to sit alone with their own behavior. They start to retrace their steps, mentally reviewing each interaction, wondering which moment finally tipped the balance, which careless word, which faultless action, which disrespectful gesture became the final straw. This internal reflection proves far more effective than any heated argument you could have initiated. Why? Because it compels them to confront themselves. Your absence becomes a mirror reflecting their actions back at them with crystal clarity. No defenses, no justifications, just the stark reality of consequences. Withdrawing access isn't about being passive or avoidant. It's about choosing peace over pointless confrontation. It represents the profound realization that your time and energy are precious resources, too valuable to invest in someone who consistently fails to recognize your worth. You're not punishing him, you're protecting yourself. And remarkably, the more you focus on cultivating your own sacred space, the more powerful you become in their perception. Initially, they might dismiss your distance as temporary, a passing mood or minor upset. They might confidently assume you'll return to the familiar pattern, just as you've done before. But as days transform into weeks and the silence grows increasingly heavy, something shifts. They notice your energy no longer revolves around them. They glimpse your glow returning, your focus sharpening, your spirit brightening in your newfound freedom. That's when the reality hits them with full force. They've lost access to you. Not because you created a dramatic scene, but because you made a deliberate decision valuing your dignity above all else. You didn't need to slam a door to make someone feel its weight. You simply closed it quietly and walked away with your head held high. When you choose this path, you leave them with something far more haunting than anger, the sound of nothing. And within that profound silence, they begin to truly understand what they've lost, not because you told them directly, but because they can finally see the value of what they never properly appreciated until it vanished from their grasp. There's something incredibly powerful about transforming in silence. When you begin to level up without broadcasting every step of your journey, you fundamentally shift the energy around you, while others anxiously watch for a reaction, waiting to see if you'll break down, lash out, or come crawling back. You're quietly building something meaningful behind the scenes. Nothing creates more profound regret in someone who disrespected you than the sudden realization that they severely underestimated your strength. Only to witness you rise magnificently without ever acknowledging their existence, you become living proof that their opinion was never the determining factor in your story. The mistake many people make is assuming personal growth requires public announcement. They believe success only becomes real when it's posted, spoken about, or externally validated. But authentic growth doesn't demand attention. It simply unfolds naturally, day by day, choice by choice. When you begin to level up mentally, emotionally, financially, or spiritually without making noise about it, you gain a powerful edge. You become beautifully unpredictable. They can no longer anticipate your moves. And that mystery becomes intensely intimidating, while they remain trapped in the same cycles, gossiping, doubting, or attempting to provoke you. You're shifting into higher gears. You're investing in yourself, expanding your knowledge, moving differently through the world, and consistently choosing your peace over petty confrontations. Suddenly, they notice you're not responding as you once did. You're not explaining yourself. You're not attending every argument you're invited to join. That's what compels people to take a second look, not your words, but your evident evolution. And here's the beautiful truth. You don't need to actively seek revenge. Your personal growth becomes the message itself. It silently communicates, "You never broke me. You simply reminded me who I truly am." Every silent step you take toward your purpose, every goal you accomplish without their knowledge, every inner battle you win, all become chapters in a story they never saw coming. They assumed you'd remain stuck. They thought you needed their validation. They believed their disrespect would permanently define your self-image, but your dignified silence proved otherwise. Over time, they inevitably begin to see it, perhaps through mutual friends, maybe in a photograph that crosses their path, or possibly just in the transformed way your energy fills a room when you enter it. But they notice the change, and when they do, the regret sinks deep into their consciousness, not because you flaunted your success in their face, but precisely because you never needed to. The version of you they attempted to diminish no longer exists. You've evolved far beyond the point of explanation. This represents the quiet form of karma, not loud, not angry, just steady, intentional growth. Let them observe from a distance. Let them wonder how you managed such a transformation. The truth is, you didn't level up to prove anything to anyone. You did it for yourself. But the fact that your growth simultaneously silences their disrespect, that's simply a well-deserved bonus. Maintaining calm composure when faced with disrespect represents one of the most powerful responses available to you. It's not weakness, it's the ultimate form of control. When someone disrespects you, they typically anticipate an emotional reaction. They want to see you angry, hear your voice rise, watch you argue back defensively. They crave the satisfaction of seeing you lose your composure because your emotional reaction gives them a sense of power. But when you remain composed, when you deliberately choose silence over shouting and inner peace over chaos, you completely transform the dynamic. You deny them the satisfaction of witnessing you unravel. This composure isn't about suppressing your authentic feelings. It's about mastering them. It's choosing not to allow someone else's lack of respect to pull you out of character. It's knowing your worth so deeply and completely that you feel no need to justify or explain it to anyone. This kind of self-possession is remarkably rare, and it leaves an indelible impression. The person who attempted to provoke you ends up feeling confused, even unsettled, because they can't understand why you're not reacting according to their expectations. When you maintain your cool, you demonstrate something powerful. They don't control your emotions. You do, and that realization is what ultimately creates their regret. Disrespectful people thrive on chaos. They feed off drama, loud responses, and tension. But when you offer them nothing but silence or a composed response they never anticipated, they're left sitting alone with their behavior, without your emotional reaction to distract them from their own actions. They begin to see how truly out of line they were. Remaining calm also protects your precious energy. Not every battle deserves your participation, and not every comment merits your attention. Sometimes the most powerful response is to continue living your life as though their words or actions carried no significance whatsoever. Because the truth is, if something doesn't disturb your inner peace, it doesn't deserve your energy, and in that silence, they begin to feel the sting of being irrelevant to your emotional world. There exists a strength in calmness that speaks infinitely louder than any argument ever could. It clearly communicates, "You don't possess the power to disrupt my inner world." That message hits harder than yelling ever will. Over time, they notice. They realize you didn't just walk away. You walked away without needing to create a scene. And that kind of exit, filled with dignity and grace, becomes unforgettable. So the next time someone attempts to bring chaos to your doorstep, stay grounded, keep your voice steady, maintain a still expression, allow him to feel the full weight of their actions without giving him the emotional reaction they're desperately seeking. In your stillness, they'll hear everything they need to, and they'll regret ever believing they had the power to disturb your hard-won peace. One of the most powerful expressions of self-respect is establishing clear boundaries without feeling compelled to explain them. When someone crosses the line with you, Your first instinct might be to justify why their behavior hurt you or to help them understand your personal limits. But as we'll explore in the next section, there's immense strength in knowing that your boundaries don't require external validation or understanding to be legitimate. As we've explored, setting boundaries without explanation demonstrates profound self-respect, but this journey toward authentic living goes even deeper. It requires us to examine where we place the source of our fulfillment. Are we outsourcing our happiness to external circumstances, or have we discovered the power of inner wholeness? Think about this fundamental truth. The greatest gift you've already received isn't the car, the house, or the social media following. It's existence itself. This precious life, this consciousness, this opportunity to experience reality. This was granted to you from the moment you arrived in this world. Yet how easily we forget this profound gift when we become fixated on acquiring more possessions, more validation, more external markers of success. Many of us live in a constant state of anxiety because we've handed over the keys to our happiness to factors entirely beyond our control. We've outsourced our sense of fulfillment to how many messages we receive each day, how many followers engage with our content, how spacious our apartment is, or how many luxury vehicles sit in our garage. When we do this, we place ourselves in an incredibly vulnerable position, because anything that can be given can also be taken away. Consider what happens during times of unexpected restriction or limitation. When the pandemic forced lockdowns across the world, many people experienced profound psychological distress, not just from the health threat itself, but from having their external sources of fulfillment suddenly removed. Those who had built their entire identity around social gatherings, travel experiences, or workplace recognition found themselves adrift when those external validations disappeared overnight. This reveals a crucial insight. As individual citizens, we often have limited influence over what politicians decide, what economic shifts occur, or what global events unfold. But what we do have absolute authority over is our inner landscape, how we respond, what we focus on, and whether we maintain our sense of wholeness regardless of external circumstances. The invitation here isn't to reject material possessions or worldly success. If you can afford luxury cars, beautiful homes, or exclusive experiences, by all means, enjoy them. The problem isn't ownership, it's identification. Do you possess these things, or do they possess you? Can you enjoy driving that luxury vehicle with the top down on a beautiful day? Then park it in the garage and be fully present for your meal without constantly thinking about the car. Can you appreciate your followers while knowing your worth isn't determined by their numbers? This distinction between enjoyment and attachment represents the difference between freedom and imprisonment. When you're attached, you live in constant fear of loss. When you simply enjoy, you remain present with what is, without the anxiety of what might not be tomorrow. The process of rewiring how you've lived until now requires honest self-reflection. How has your current mindset served you? In what ways has it limited your growth and happiness? These are deeply personal questions that only you can answer for yourself. I'm not here to prescribe a specific path. I'm simply inviting you to examine patterns you might have overlooked in your own life experience. Ultimately, your life rests in your hands alone. No external guru, teacher, or guide can make these crucial decisions for you. My role isn't to add more concepts or beliefs to your already cluttered mind. Rather, it's to help remove misconceptions and illusions that might be blocking your natural state of fulfillment. Fear and uncertainty represent the two greatest challenges every human being faces. The critical question becomes, are you living your life based on fear? Or are you living from a place of expansive possibility? Fear restricts your ability to grow beyond familiar boundaries. It keeps you trapped within what we call the comfort zone, that space of predictable experiences and known outcomes. But have you ever wondered why we call it a comfort zone in the first place? It's comfortable precisely because you've already spent significant time there. You know everything about it. You've seen it, experienced it, mapped every corner of it. There are no surprises left. While this creates a sense of security, it also creates stagnation. This vast existence we inhabit is primarily unknown territory. If we were to quantify it, perhaps only 0.1% represents what we know, while 99.9% remains undiscovered. If you genuinely wish to explore that vast unknown, to access the richness of experiences beyond your current understanding, you must be willing to leave the space of certainty. You must step beyond comfort into uncertainty, and this requires facing your fears directly. The more fearful you remain, the more you'll stay exactly where you are. The less fearful you become, the more you'll expand, discover, and grow into your fullest potential. But how do we learn to face these fears that keep us small? One powerful approach comes from martial arts traditions like Shaolin, where practitioners gradually build tolerance for discomfort and pain. You don't need to leap immediately into complete darkness. Few people can make such dramatic transitions successfully. Instead, you might begin by identifying your current comfort zone, then taking just one small step beyond it tomorrow. Perhaps try something slightly uncomfortable but manageable. The next day, take another small step outward. By integrating these incremental movements into uncertainty, you gradually develop the habit of facing fear rather than avoiding it. Over time, what once seemed terrifying becomes merely challenging, and what was challenging becomes comfortable, expanding your capacity for growth exponentially. The second crucial element involves correcting distorted self-perception. If you hold an inaccurate image of yourself and your potential, you'll never fully understand the capabilities you possess. Many of us operate with severely limited self-concepts, believing ourselves to be far less powerful, creative, and resilient than we truly are. As you begin to realize there's much more beneath the surface, that you are infinitely more complex and capable than your limited self-image suggests, your approach to self-care naturally evolves. Just as understanding that your skin contains complex systems beneath its surface might motivate you to consider not just external creams, but also what you consume internally. Recognizing your deeper nature inspires more comprehensive self-development. All these practices, meditation, self-reflection, physical discipline serve to refine your awareness of who you truly are. When you look inward with greater clarity, you sense more of your authentic nature. You begin to care for your body not just as an external appearance, but as the sacred vessel for your consciousness. Simultaneously, you refine your mind, clearing away limiting beliefs and expanding your capacity for presence. This journey toward inner fulfillment doesn't happen overnight. It unfolds gradually as you make consistent choices that honor your deeper nature rather than chasing external validation. With each choice to value inner peace over outward appearances, to prioritize authentic growth over social approval, you reclaim another piece of your personal power. The beautiful paradox is that when you stop outsourcing your happiness to external circumstances, when you recognize that fulfillment comes from within, you actually become more effective in creating the outer life you desire. From this centered place of inner wholeness, you make choices aligned with your authentic values rather than reactive decisions based on fear or insecurity. Remember, you already possess the most precious gift imaginable, the gift of existence itself. No one can take that away from you unless you surrender it by believing your worth depends on something outside yourself. Your life is in your hands. Your fulfillment is your responsibility, and the journey toward discovering your limitless potential begins with a single step beyond the boundaries of what you currently know. If you found value in these insights about finding inner fulfillment and breaking free from external validation, please consider subscribing to our channel. Each week, we explore powerful strategies for personal growth, emotional intelligence, and living authentically in a world that often pulls us away from our deeper truth. Hit that subscribe button now to join our community of seekers committed to awakening to their fullest potential. Your journey matters, and we're honored to be part of it. See you in our next exploration.